Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to be taking you through a guide on how to build Rain and Fina, or as Andy likes to call them, Rina. So if you're wondering where Andy is, she's actually at work and I have today off, so I'm with the kids. You might notice that in the background, Andy's chair is covered up with a blanket there. That is because Mew Mew likes to hide underneath it. And then I got Bubbles down here with me as well. So before we get started, just want to say thank you guys for watching our summoning video. And I hope you guys enjoy this content. If you do, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and comment down below what you are going to be building your Rain and Fina with. So let's hop into the video. Before we go into building Rina, I'm going to go through a few details of the unit that are important before we start selecting equipment and the weapons for them. But this isn't going to be a full review of their kit and the rotation that you should be doing. If you guys go to the damage spreadsheet, they have a work in progress, and actually they're pretty easy to do their rotation. All of the damage comes from their LB, so we're going to be focusing on that. Now I'm just going to go into some of their passives here for you guys, and then we're going to go into the builder and look at some of the equipment. And as I said, we want to focus most of this video onto that equipment. So without further ado, let's just hop down in here into the passives. So if we look at their normal form, we got increased attack 108% and defense and HP plus 60%. And then we got another increased attack 20%, so 200% there. And then we got increased equipment attack 200% and accuracy 25% when single wielding any weapon. Now when we look at the offensive stats, we got increased physical and magic damage against beasts and humans. So beasts is 200% and then humans is 50%. And then increased physical damage against broken enemies, that's 70%. But of course, as you guys know from the latest news, they're trying to fix that. And here's the important part, we get increased LB damage by 100% as a passive stat. So that's really good there. And then if we go into their actual kit and we look at their one cooldown ability, which is called Crimson Lotus, it's increased attack by 300% and increased LB damage by 200% for 3 turns to the caster, and it can't be dispelled. So awesome stuff right there. Now, the next important thing is that it's going to auto cast their LB and increase, sorry, not auto cast their LB, it's going to auto cast on the next turn and increase their LB gauge by 50, and it's going to do that for 2 turns. So they're going to be able to cast their LB 2 times in a row after you use their Crimson Lotus cooldown ability. So first turn, you can use Crimson Lotus, and then after that, you're going to want to use Blazing Blood, which is going to add fire element to your physical attacks for 3 turns and increase fire, physical, and magical damage by 15%. So now that we know that their main damage is coming from their LB, which if we go and look at it, at max level, it does 120 times to all enemies, and it's going to increase the modifier to some of the chaining abilities. So whenever you can't use your LB, you're basically going to be using some of these chain abilities. And it's interesting that we have this one cooldown ability called Lotus Saber, and it's backloaded to do 130% to one enemy. Now the thing is that this cooldown ability is available on turn 4, and that's when your, fire element is going to expire, because if you notice, it says add fire element to physical attacks for 3 turns. So I would say if you can imperil your Rina with another fire element somehow, this Lotus Saber is pretty decent on your off turns where you're not doing your LB. Now anyways, if we go into the Brave Shift form and we look at their passives are pretty much the same. We got increased equipment magic by 200% and accuracy by 25% when single wielding any weapon. And then we got magic plus 180%. So we kind of lose that 20% to the magic stat that we got in the normal form. But we also still have the increased LB damage by 100%, but it's not going to really matter in this form because all the damage is coming from their normal form. So what we want to do is we're going to first build for our normal form, which is going to be your main damage dealing type of form. And then if you want to do magic damage, I also have a build for that as well. But granted, I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the physical part. So let's go into the builder and see what I've come up with. Alright guys, so let's hop into the builder now, and we're going to be talking about the EX+1 form of Rina, and I've got them all potted out here. So this includes the doors. So the attack here is maxed out at 320 plus 97. And what we're going to do with this one is, just disclaimer, in my Aldrin build guide, I ended up using the builder to, run and try to have all of the best equipment slotted into the first build, and it was filled with STMRs. And some of you noticed that it wasn't actually the best build. And that's fair because I didn't let it run to the whole thing. So for this video, I've actually gone ahead and I've researched every single piece of equipment and I've selected myself. Now, because they're so new, the builder doesn't actually recognize their STMR as something that is in the game yet. So right now it's showing as the Japanese version of the sword, but I'm pretty sure that the stats are the exact same. So we're just gonna go based off the assumption that, the builder is doing it correctly. Now, if we go into this first one, we are sitting at HP of 12,811, and we're sitting at attack of 4,547. And we're capped. So we got 400% true double hand and 420% at max attack right here. Now, if we go down to the actual build, we got the STMR, which is the sword bow. Reminds me of the Power Ranger thing, but it's got 184 attack and 176 magic. So the magic's not that big here. And the attack is a little bit lower than, let's say, Kingdom Hearts Cloud Sword, which is 190, and it's also two-handed. But the nice thing about this sword is that when you click on the detailed view, it actually says, it increases accuracy by 50%. It's got a damage variance of max of 1.6, so the average is 1.3. And then the best part is that it increases LB damage by 100%. So that's really awesome there. And the reason why I've built this build in this specific way is so that we can get some killers and we can also max out the LB damage. So I've opted for the scanning goggles because this gives a nice flat attack of 52 and it also gives some great killers on it as well. Now, if you were able to pull on Stern during the collaboration event, you may have this piece of gear, which is the Lion Armor, and it gives 38 attack, and it also gives some LB damage of 50%. So that's really awesome there. Now, this is kind of far-fetched, but let's continue this assumption that, you also pulled on the Kingdom Hearts 3 banner, and you were able to get 2 Rikus. So if you were able to get 2 Rikus, then you would have this awesome accessory here, which gives 50 attack and then also increased LB damage plus 30%. So right there, we got 60% plus the 50 from the armor piece, that's 110%. And then we also get 100% from the sword bow. So that's already 210%. Now remember, the passive that we talked about earlier on in the video is that he gets 100% passive LB damage. So we're already capped here at 310. Now, if you look at the picture, it only says LB damage at 300 because it doesn't show the overage. So what we do now is we're going to try to max out that true double hand. And to do that, assuming you got those 2 Rikus, you probably are going to have his STMR as well. So that will increase your attack by 80% and also increase your true double hand by 100%. Now we need that extra 100% true double hand, so we're going to get that from Zack's TMR, which is the true hero, gives you 40% attack and also true double hand 100%. So this is an awesome build if you can pull it off because you got really high attack, you got maxed out LB damage, and you got 2 slots available that you can put killers in. Now for this, I'm also using Mad Dash at max level because it will give you 100% increased attack if you're using a great sword. So this helps us get to the max cap for the attack, and it also gives you a decent chunk of attack as well, sitting at a flat 100. So there's a lot of assumptions going on with this build, but if you can pull it off, it is amazing because those 2 extra materia slots that you can put any killers you want. Now, again, similar to my other build guide, I'm using Bahamut as a standard. You want to replace this Esper with any killer that you need for the fight. Now, if we're to go to the next build, which is also pretty STMR heavy, but it's making some other assumptions instead. So if you look at the HP, it's pretty similar, sitting at 12,000. Now the attack has gone up a little bit. We're sitting now at 4,697, so we got about 100 more there. And if we look at the percentage, we're actually at perfect cap. So the true double hand is capped at 400%, and then the attack is also capped out at 400%. So there's no overages here. And if we look at the LB damage, it's also capped at 300. But I'm going to mention a little thing when we get down closer here. So we're still making the assumption that you're using the sword bow in the hand here. And then we're also going to be using Erdwin's Coronet, which you would have if you were playing at the time when we had the Dragon Quest collaboration. Now this STMR, if you're a newer player, you probably won't have it. So again, this is a STMR pretty heavy build. And the nice thing about this Erdwin's Coronet is that it gives LB damage plus 20%. Now, the reason why I have built these certain things this way is to get no overage in the LB damage. So with that 20%, we also look at the body piece and we got Madame Adele's STMR, which gives an attack of 55. You may have this. It also prevents a stop to your character by 100%, so that's great there. Now again, going off a limb, maybe you have Zenaida's STMR, so that's a big 65 flat right there. And we can ignore the extra thing that it gives because we're not dual wielding. And then in the other accessory slot, we got Limited Moon, which is another STMR that you may have, especially if you were able to, Envy Awaken your Red 13. So that's another flat 60 there. And we're getting a lot of our LB damage coming from our materia. So if we look here, we're using Sora's STMR instead, which gives you 75% LB damage. So that's huge there. Remember that we have 100% from the sword bow, 100% from the passive, and then we get 75% from Sora's STMR. Now, this is where the Erdwin's Coronet comes in, that 20%. So we're sitting at 295% now of LB damage. And you may be thinking, well, there's no reason for me to, over the, 5% with some crazy materia. And you're right. Which is why I found the materia Brush Up, which actually fits perfectly because the Guardian of Light gives you 80% to attack, you're going to be sitting at 380% attack boost. Now, if you look at Brush Up, which is an easy TMR to get, it's from 3-star Wayhem, it gives you attack plus 20% and increased LB damage by 10%. So you're going to go over your LB damage by 5%, but it's not that big of a deal because you're going to be capping your attack at perfectly 400%. Now, to get this build to work, you're also going to have Master of Fate, which is Envy Cloud's STMR. And based on the way that Envy Cloud has been dropping, I'm sure a lot of you have probably got him to EX plus 2 by now. So this Master of Fate is not too difficult to get, I'm assuming, because, based on the comments we got from our other videos, a lot of you guys have Envy Cloud, and a lot of people are making memes saying, I really don't want to get another Envy Cloud. So, that being said, we have one materia slot left for a killer. It's not as good as the other build, but one materia slot for a killer is still great because, sometimes you're going to be putting stuff in and you can't even fit a killer. So this is a pretty decent build if we're going to be going for, a mix of STMRs with these assumptions. So let's hop into the next build, which is going off of, a little bit lower expectations in terms of STMRs. And let's see how we do with this one. So in this build, we have HP, which is quite higher. It's at 13,669. Now the attack, again, is sitting around the same as the other one that we saw in the first build I shared. So the attack is at 4,587. Now we are overcapped on the attack percentage and the true double hand. So the attack percentage is at 410% and the true double hand is sitting at 425%. So we're going a little bit overboard there, but you'll see why in a second. So again, we're using the sword bow. because we're making that same assumption. And now we're bringing back in the scanning goggles, sitting at attack 52 and the killers. So you may have this body piece, which I actually do, and I love it. It is the Glacial Battle Garb, which gives you 56 flat attack, and it also gives you 50% Dragon Killer. So really good STMR there. Now, we're gonna go a little bit, lower tier on the accessories. So you'll see here, we got Tifa's Gloves, which gives a flat 45 attack, but it also gives you 50% true double hand. So that's why I really like this piece here. And then if we go into the other one, which is Storm Kickers, you'll see that it gives HP plus 20%, gives a flat 45 attack, and then increased LB damage by 15%. So when we move on to the materia, we're going to have a new power, which a lot of you also probably have Neo Vision Rain, just by himself, not the one with Fina. And this one will increase your equipment attack by 75% when single wielding, a weapon, and it increases your LB damage by 30%. So it does a 2-in-1 there, really awesome. It's just really awkward that it gives you that 75% and not like 50 or 100, so you're sitting in between, which is why we have that strange 25% overage. Now, if you're lacking in LB damage, you may or may not have this because you had to actually buy it in the bundle. You couldn't get it for free, and it's called Ruler's Might. And this was around the time that Esther was released, and it increases your equipment attack by 50% and also increases LB damage by 30%. Now, there are a bunch of other gear that can give you, increased LB damage, but I chose the ones here that can do both LB damage plus increased equipment attack percentage when true double-handing. So that's how we get the cap there. Now, to finish off the LB damage, we also have Courage to Move On, which will give you a nice flat 60% and will increase LB damage by 30%. So if you're, a casual player or you've been playing for a while, you probably have a copy of AC Cloud, and this is where you're going to get it from. So great TMR there. It's not an STMR, easy to access. And the last one to round it out, so we get all of our attack percentage and all of our true double hand, is Loyal General. Now, this STMR is from Beatrix. You may or may not have this, but if you do, it is great because you'll get a great combo there, and this is going to round out the cap for both attack percentage and true double hand. So as you can see, we're using Mad Dash again, but all our slots are filled, so you can't insert a killer here. Now, we maxed out on all of our awesome stats that we want, but now we're just missing the killers. Luckily, Rina, if you look here, has a base of 250% Beast Killer when equipped with Bahamut. So it's not that bad if you're going up against a Beast, but if you need to go up against something else, you will probably want to, try to find a better build that you can get some killers in there, or you're going to have to sacrifice some of these stats. Now, the last build that we're going to do for the normal form is actually the budget build. And I'm basing a lot of these assumptions on what Andiee has in her roster. So if you're a newer player, you may or may not have these things, but if you've been playing for a few months now, around the same time as Andiee, you will definitely have these items. And I made sure that these items were the most recent free ones that you could get. So let's hop into it. The HP is sitting at a nice almost 15k. The attack is sitting at 4,277, so pretty decent for a budget build. And the nice thing that we got here is the attack is capped out for true double hand and percentage, so 400 each, no overage. The only thing here is that the LB damage kind of suffers. It's sitting at 240%, so we could not get it to the maximum. So if you look, you probably have better swords than this, but assuming that your budget and you got absolutely nothing, all you got is an NV Cloud, you will have the TMR, which is Buster Sword FF7 Remake, and it gives you 158 attack, not bad. And then in the head slot, we got the Fired Up Fighter's Mask. So this was given out to everyone who, logged in during the period of our anniversary, and it gives a pretty good amount of attack. So 44 flat there. And then if we are to go into the body piece, we have the black cloak. So this was given out during the Kingdom Hearts event, so I'm sure a lot of you guys must have been playing around that time. And it's actually not too bad for a free piece of gear. You get 28 flat attack, and then you also get an additional 20% attack if you're equipped with a greatsword, which you will be. And then again, a lot of you guys, even if you're new, you probably have one copy of Esther, maybe even two by now. So what I've done here is I've slotted in 2 Storm Kickers, which gives you that 40% HP, and then you got the flat 45 attack and increased LB damage by 15% each, so you're sitting at 30 there. Now, for the next part, this is also pretty budget. So the War Goddess Insignia Plus will increase your attack by 40% and increase LB damage plus 30%. So great there, easy to access, just plow through the story and you'll be able to get this. Now the last one for the True Double Hand is the Master of Fate, which gives you 200% True Double Hand. Now this is only possible if you have multiple copies of, FF7 Remake Cloud. And as I had mentioned just moments ago, you guys probably are swimming in a bunch of clouds. So this should be no problem for you guys to get. And if Andiee can get it, I'm sure you guys too. So the next part to increase our LB damage is Heart Overcoming Hatred, which is increased LB damage by 50. And it's really easy to get because Kianos is a 4-star unit. So there's no way that you can't have this. Again, if Andiee can get this, I'm sure you guys can too. Now the final one, which is a little bit harder if you are unlucky with the pool, but this comes from Crown Prince Noctis and it's the Astro's Protection, which gives you attack plus 40% and it increases your LB damage by 30%. So that there is the budget build. It still has a decent amount of attack, good HP. It's just that the LB damage suffers a bit and all the gear here is very easily accessible. So if you're new, this is probably the best that you might be able to get. Who knows? You probably have some other things. But if you're like brand new, you started today, then you probably won't be having a very good Rina to build on. But that's okay, because you'll always get new equipment in the future. So that sums up the normal form, and now let's go into the magic form. Alright guys, so for whatever reason you want to use the Brave Shift form to do some magic damage, I got you with the magic build. Now, if we're going into the full STMR one, I've handpicked this as well. And again, I gotta put a disclaimer, I'm not big on magic damage dealers, so leave in the comments down below what you think would be the best build for them. But this is the STMR one that I'm gonna do first. So if we look at their HP, it's pretty low, but as all magic damage dealers are, they have pretty low HP. It's sitting at 8,811. And then if we look at the magic, we actually have capped out True Double Hand at 400%, and then the magic percentage is at 420%. And the flat is at 4,712. So that's pretty high if you ask me. Now, if we go into the actual equipment, again, we're going to be using the Sword Bow, which has a pretty high magic stat of 176. And when we go into the headpiece, we're doing Ark's hat, which is the STMR from Black Mage Ark, and it's 64 flat magic. Now, to get more True Double Hand magic, we're going to use Aerith's STMR. And this will give a flat 80 magic. And then if we go into the accessory, we've got the Heliolite, magic plus 70, and the Curse Doll, magic plus 72. Now, if we go into the materia, we have the Mystical Aura, which is the TMR from Ibarra. So the assumption of this STMR heavy build is that you hold on Ibarra, you got her. So you got her card, which is the Demon Who Learned Humanity, which gives more, True Double Hand magic. And then to kind of cap out our magic percentage, we got the Corrupt Emperor, magic plus 60% here. That's Emperor's STMR. And then to cap out some more, we got Enchanting Archer, which is magic plus 60%, and then increased equipment magic by 100%, and this is Sarah's STMR. So this is going on the assumption that, you know, you have all these STMRs to cap out the magic and the true double hand, but if you can, the magic that you get is pretty good. Now, if we were to go into another build, which is also going on the assumption that you're doing true double hand, but you didn't for some reason get the sword bow, you can always rely on Artemis's bow, which is from a trial, and the magic is also still pretty good. It's 170 flat magic, and the nice thing about Artemis's bow is that you can get some beast killer here. So you get 75% beast killer. It's a double-handed bow, and it's from a trial, so easy to get. So I really like Artemis's bow because it's free, you get it from a trial, and then when you run it through Item World, you get that unique ability which gives 35% attack and magic. I'm pretty sure it's 35%. And that's why I really like it. You might be saying, well, Pat, you could probably put something else in her hand. It doesn't matter. You don't need a bow. I'm like, yes, that is true. But if you want that extra beast killer, I think this is really nice because it gives you physical and magical beast killer. So you're actually sitting at 325% beast killer on the base form, this brave ship form. So when we go into the gear, we still got Ark's hat here, which is, you know, making assumptions that you got the STMR. And then another good STMR that you can put on is Golbez's armor, which gives a flat 100 magic. Again, we're going to be keeping the Heliolite and the Cursed Doll. Now when we go to the actual materia, we can put on Overcoming Death, which is Dark Mage X Death's STMR. And it gives magic plus 60%, and it gives you magical killers to insect, human, and plant of 50%, so that's really awesome there. And again, we have the Enchanting Archer, and now it's really awesome because it gives magic plus 80% if you are equipped with a bow, and increase equipment magic by 100%, you know, when true double handing. So then the last materia we have here is Corrupted Mage, which is magic plus 60% and then increase equipment magic by 100% when true double handing again. So it's really nice that we're able to cap everything and still have a materia slot open. So with this build, it's really nice that, you know, you can put another magic killer on there or maybe boost the HP or whatever you want. So having that free magic slot is actually pretty nice. Now the difference here is that we have the Heartless Sage for the Vision card. So making the assumption that you have Neo Vision Soul and you have the card maxed out. But I kind of like this build because it seems more accessible than the other one. And you do have that opened up materia slot, but again, it is pretty STMR heavy. So you may be wondering, well, Pat, why do you want to do true double hand on them when, you know, a lot of mages, they like to do dual wield? And I'm like, yeah, well, that's very fair. The thing is, this unit doesn't have the 6x chain modifier when dual wielding, and they do have that passive that gives you 200% true double hand. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you would do if you were to get a true dual wield build. Now, again, notice that the first true double hand build ended up with 4,700-ish magic. So when we go into the true dual wield version, we got HP sitting at 8,189. The magic here is at 4,443, overcapped at 510%, and the true dual wield is at 200%. So the magic is 300 or so less than the other builds. And you'll see here, I just put the Dark Gambtain, the Vespene, and then put some easily accessible, you know, gear here. The Shiva's Tiara, you probably got that from the trial. Again, we have Golbez's armor, Heliolite, Cursed Doll, and then the materia here is focusing all on trying to increase the true dual wield for magic, but also increase magic at the same time. So to do that, you would need to have wings that transcend time and yin yang dual hand, which I'm sure you guys must have yin yang dual hand based on, you know, the assumption that we made in my Eldrin build guide. But the other ones like Love for Trabia and like the double Catharsis, these ones, like to get Selfie's STMR or to get, you know, Fina, Dark Fina's STMR, You may not have these based on your luck, right? But then again, if you are pulling on Rain, you may have Fina and Dark Fina. So that's one of the two that you probably will have. Now, if you look, the magic is lower, we're over-capped, we have no more materia slots, so if I were to choose, I actually prefer the build that I just showed with the Artemis Bow. Now, the last one we're going to go through is the budget build, and I will say, doing a budget build for, Rina is not the best. So if we look here, the magic is sitting at 3,858. It's on the lower side. And also the true double hand is not capped and the magic is also not capped, and they're both sitting at 350%. So if we go down, I'm using all free gear here. So Artemis Bow, free bow that you can get with pretty high magic and also can boost your magic percentage with the unique ability, as I had mentioned. We got Shiva's Tiara. If you were around for Ibarra's event and you didn't get her, or you didn't have enough currency to get her for some reason, you could have at least still got her craftable robe, which is Ibarra's kimono, and it's magic plus 42. The cursed doll again. Now, you could opt for the lower version of cursed doll in the other slot. I just don't like that because, the minus confusion by 150%. So instead, I put the snow bear because a lot of us did summon on the Christmas banner trying to get Kryla. Now the next ones are, assumptions based on what you may or may not have. So Girl Entrusted with Hope is a TMR from Warrior of Light Krill, I don't know how to say her name, but that's a pretty high budget magic materia there. Tetrasylphid Synergy, you may or may not have her based on that event where we got to select a unit of our choice using these exchange coins. So I actually selected Tetrasylphid during the time, and the materia here actually gives magic plus 50%, and it enables dual wield. So, if you ever want to use dual wield with magic, that's something for you there, although it's not applicable to this build. And then to increase equipment magic, we have Evil Vanguard, which is Neovision Soul's TMR. So a bunch of you have mentioned in our previous video that you guys were able to get Neovision Soul from the guaranteed Neovision ticket that we got. And then finally we have Desert Bloom, which is increased magic, equipment magic by 50% and increased magic by 40%. And this is a TMR from Dancing Heart Pinello. So a lot of you guys may have pulled on Vaughn, and you probably would have gone to Dancing Heart Pinello. So awesome there. And again, we're making the assumption that you're using the Heartless Sage. So for the magic build, let me know down below what you are building your arena with. If you are using the magic, be it Brave Ship form. I was about to say BS form. I didn't want to say that because, I am uncomfortable saying it is a BS form because then it kind of implies the swear word. So we're going to go with Brave Ship form. And anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. 4 different builds, STMR heavy, and then we got our budget. So if you guys like content like this, leave a comment down below if you want to see more build guides. Give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you guys next week for our upcoming summon video on Lastwell and Reagan, plus our free weekly. So stay tuned, guys, and can't wait till next week comes.